Hi, everybody. My name is Dr. Sarah, and I'm with the Teach Group, and I'm so excited to do a question and answer session today for parenting and behavior questions. So I had a couple of questions sent in, and I'm excited to kind of dive right in and um, start answering those questions. Hope that y'all are doing okay today. We may or may not have people joining us. I hope we do. And so if we do, we may even get to hear some live questions. And so that would be fun too. So these questions, I got two questions. And so they both are questions that I hear a lot as a behavior therapist. So, just in case you don't know, my background, I have my doctorate in education and I am a board certified behavior analyst. So, I spend many of my days working with children and families and helping with behaviors. And so, one of the fun things that I do, that I love is, to talk with families and to help them with parenting, and behavior things that they're going through at home. So I thought it would be fun for us to get together and do this, so that you all can see and benefit from it. So the first question, is, um, about using rewards with children. So it says, I've heard so many different opinions about using rewards with kids that I don't know what to believe anymore. Some people tell me I should use sticker charts, prizes, or earning screen time to encourage good behavior. Others say rewards are basically bribing my child and will make them expect something every time he does the right thing. I don't want my child to only behave because he's getting something. Should I use rewards? And if so, when are they actually appropriate? So I'm excited to dive into that one. Let me see. Um, oh, sorry, that was just for Google Meet. I thought somebody was wanting in, but no. So yes, this is a very important question. So, the debate surrounding the use of rewards often stems from a misunderstanding of the distinction between bribery and positive reinforcement. And so, those are different things. So, from a behavioral perspective, bribery is reactive and it's an inconsistent negotiation used kind of mid conflict to terminate an undesirable behavior. Whereas positive reinforcement is proactive, it's an evidence based strategy, and it's designed to increase or maintain the desired behavior. So if you think about it, if you're like in the middle and you're trying to get your child to do something and you're like, here, you want the phone? You want the phone? Or, oh, here, I'll go get you some candy. Or, you can watch TV when we get home if you'll just get in the car, that kind of thing. That would be more bribery, whereas a reward, use of a reward, can be used as positive reinforcement, to help you teach your child the behavior that you want them to do and the appropriate behavior. So we naturally operate within reinforcement systems. Think about the paycheck you receive from going to work and doing your job. That's a form of positive reinforcement. It keeps you going back there every day and doing a good job. So, even like a simple thank you for a job well done or an act of kindness can be reinforcement. So, like, for example, if you see a dishwasher, or a sink, sorry, a sink full of dirty dishes, and you put them in the dishwasher and your spouse says, "Wow, thank you for cleaning up the kitchen." Then the next time you see that sink full of dirty dishes, you're probably going to put them in the dishwasher because you know that it was appreciated and you got a nice little thank you out of it. Other examples of positive reinforcement, doing laundry, you get clean clothes And that reinforces doing your laundry. It's going to make you keep wanting to do your laundry when you wake up and you're able to just to pull some clean clothes out of your closet. When you work out, it makes you feel good. You like the way your clothes fit. So that's reinforcing and it's going to help you to continue working out again. So those are just some like everyday examples of reinforcement and how it works just in the everyday, like real world. So sometimes, especially with our children, when a task requires significant effort, or if it's met with persistent resistance, then strategic reinforcement provides the motivation necessary to build competence and foster long-term behavioral success. So, how can we use rewards and reinforcement to help our children exhibit the positive behavior that we want? So, it can come in many different ways. One is verbal praise. You're doing a great job. It's amazing if you notice the things that your child's doing and praise them, then you'll get more of that. And sometimes that's easier said than done. It's really like we're all busy. You could have many different things on your plate. And so when your child's behaving, it's just kind of like, whew, I have a moment of peace. But it's really important to kind of notice those times and reinforce it through verbal praise. And that will help your child say, oh, this is exactly what I need to keep doing. And hey, mom likes it when I do this, or dad likes it when I do XYZ. And so verbal praise is a great way to do that. Another example of verbal praise is, hey, I loved the way you used nice hands with your brother. That was awesome. Or wow, that was great sharing and turn taking. You're being such a good friend, or you're being such a good sister, whatever it is. And you will continue to see that behavior more and more. So you can start by noticing the positive behavior and praising it. And often that alone will increase that behavior and help it to continue to happen. So if you notice, though, that just praising the behavior is not enough to help your child exhibit that behavior that you want, then you can add a method of tangible reinforcement. And so, what is that? So, tangible reinforcement would be something that you can hold in your hand, like a sticker or an object, or just something kind of small, or this is where you might hear about the sticker charts or the tokens that they can earn. So this works best when it's purposeful and when you have a plan to fade that tangible reinforcement. So things to remember when you're using tangible reinforcement is you want to keep it small and immediate. So, for new or challenging skills, the time between the behavior and the reinforcement must be really short. If the delay is too long, then the brain struggles to associate the specific action with the positive outcome. Immediate specific praise paired with the reward helps mark the correct behavior, ensuring that your child will learn exactly what they are being reinforced for. So just make sure you're keeping it very immediate. And the reason why it's important to keep it small is because you want them to go through it quickly. So like a sticker on a paper, or if you do something edible, like, oh, here's an M&M, that's small, they're going to eat it, it's going to be gone really quickly. And then they're gonna be like, "Hey, what else can I do? That was awesome. I want some more of that, and let me continue to make these good choices so that I can keep getting good things." And that's the way reinforcement works. So something else to remember about, providing that tangible reinforcement is to actually keep it reinforcing. So your child needs to actually like it and want it. So a reward is only a reward if your child actually values it. And what works for one child may be neutral or even aversive to another. So you really need to know your child and know what they enjoy, and make sure that they want to work for it, or that they're going to be like, "Oh, that was awesome. Let's do it again." Um, so something that this next one that I'm going to say, this next tip is not a tried and true, like definite, you have to do it this way. But I like to tell parents, if your child has earned it, then don't take it away. So sometimes you might um, be like, wow, that was great following directions. I'm really proud of you. And, you're going to give them the little small token. And then the next minute, they're going to completely not follow your directions. And, you know, you might think, I'm just going to take that away. I know you earned it, but you just didn't do it now. So I'm going to take it away. And that's not really the way it works. So if they've earned it, you need to let them keep it. And, you can do something different for if they're having trouble following directions. But it builds trust and it helps keep it consistent. So whenever you use a tangible reinforcement, remember to pair it with verbal praise. Because as I said, it's going to be really important to fade the tangible reinforcement so that you're not always and forever providing a reward other than praise when your child is doing the right thing. So if you're pairing it with praise, then it's going to be easier to fade and kind of walk back that tangible reinforcement. Um, and just keep the verbal praise. So just to remember, using reinforcement in this way is a scaffolding tool. It's not permanent. Once a behavior is happening consistently, then you can start fading that tangible reward. You can move to an intermittent schedule of reinforcement, which would be like rewarding every few times or kind of randomly, and transition toward social praise and natural consequences. And that will help gradually shift your child's motivation from those external incentives to the internal satisfaction of a job well done. Also, remembering whenever you use tangible reinforcement, whenever possible, select rewards that have a logical connection to the task. So, like if you're reinforcing for cleaning up the playroom, then that leads to 10 minutes of extra playtime, something like that. This really helps connect the behavior to the reward and helps your child understand that their effort directly improves their environment or their access to like whatever preferred activities or toys they have. Um, so sometimes you'll want to use rewards for things like potty training or putting their head underwater, so really big events. And other times it is for following directions or using nice hands, which are like everyday adaptive or social skills. Um, when might you want to stop it or kind of change what you're doing? I would say, if your child starts expecting a reward or a handout, like if you're like, oh, I did it, where's my reward? Then it might be time to rethink how you're implementing the reward or the reinforcement system. But the answer to this question is rewards are completely valid methods of behavioral management. And they can work quite nicely to help teach skills and help your child improve their behavior. So I hope that was helpful. That was our first question. Excuse me. Okay, so our second question that we received um, is one that we get a lot as well, and it's on following directions. So, how do I get my child to start following directions? I feel like I'm constantly repeating myself. I'll ask my 5-year-old to put on his shoes, clean up his toys, or brush his teeth, and it's like he doesn't even hear me. I end up asking 3 or 4 times, then I get frustrated and start raising my voice. As soon as I yell, he finally does it, but I don't want to parent that way. I know he understands what I'm asking because he'll do it eventually. How do I get my child to follow directions the first time without constantly nagging or yelling? So, this is a great question. And like I said, this is a common parenting concern. And so the pattern that this parent was describing, parents experience this where the child learns that the initial, like, calm request is not the signal for action, but it's just kind of some background noise there. The actual trigger for compliance becomes the parent's escalation of the request or yelling. So by the third or fourth time and you're raising your voice and you're getting very frustrated because your child's ignoring you, that's when they're like, oh, I better get that done. It sounds like mom's getting mad. So that's kind of what's going on there. And so there are ways to fix this. So we're really going to be trying to reestablish the legitimacy of your initial instruction. So the one way that you can do this is through proximity and attention. So before you give the direction, ensure that you have established physical proximity and eye contact. I like to get right down on the level of the child and make sure that we're kind of face to face. That way, I I can tell if they hear me, if they're attending to me, and if they understand what I'm saying, which is important. So, also, if your child is focused on a high interest activity, and say you're across the room or you're in the kitchen, you're kind of hollering out um, and asking him to go do something, that's easy to ignore and easy to kind of filter out. So, especially if he's like on technology or watching a show or on a video game or something like that. So, one thing you can do is you can say their name and just wait for a brief acknowledgement that they hear you. And then that way, you have their attention. But I will say, getting on your child's level, giving the direction one time, and then waiting without talking can be very effective. And just make sure that your direction is simple and easy to understand. I like to tell parents to use like the one request rule. So just to avoid that cycle of repetition. So when you repeat a request, you are inadvertently teaching your child that they do not need to attend to the first instruction. So state what you want them to do once, state it clearly, state it neutrally, and if your child does not comply, follow up with a prompt. You can use a point. You can use just physical prompts, helping them gently to do it. You can also use a natural consequence, but try not to get into this verbal pleading where you're asking them again and explaining why it's important. And, please, I've asked you 3 times, let's get this done. Mom has a lot to do. That's ineffective. So, if you find that simply stating the direction once and then following up with a prompt or consequence is not the best strategy, then you can break it down. So you could make that your end goal, but to get there, you could start with a direction, like a verbal direction, and pair it with a gesture. Say, um, put your shoes on, and then point to the shoes. And then I would just wait 5 seconds. Don't talk, just be quiet, let them process, let them see what you're pointing at, hear what you said, and do it. If they still don't do it, if they're still not attending, you can repeat the direction, and you can provide a model. You know, here's the shoes, put your shoes on. Don't actually say here's the shoes, but you would hold up the shoes, put your shoes on. And then just wait 5 seconds, no talking. Um, if that doesn't work, then I would just calmly and gently guide your child to do the task. And I don't even know that you would need to use a lot of words at that point. You're really just helping your child follow through. So that would really be a way to teach your child to follow directions if they're really having trouble kind of understanding that they need to follow the direction. But the main thing I would, get out of that is don't plead, don't beg. Not a lot of explaining needs to happen. Just make sure that they hear you, see you, understand what you're saying, and that they're able to do the task. And then expect them to do it after one instruction. Something that can help in our field of applied behavior analysis, we call it behavioral momentum. And so that's building momentum by starting with simple, high probability requests that you know your child will successfully complete. Please hand me the ball. Can you go sit in this chair? Oh, it's time to clean up our Legos. And so every direction that you give that you know that they can do and it's kind of fun and they're doing it, then that will build up that momentum, and then you slip in the one that they may not be too keen on doing. So and it's a great way to get compliance and to help your child follow the direction um, without needing to repeat yourself or even like physically prompt your child to do that. So, but all of these like ways kind of help eliminate the nagging loop. So you are removing that reinforcement of non-compliance and creating space for your child to learn that your instruction is a meaningful cue for action. And so we're not going to debate it or anything like that. It's just when I hear it, I can do it. So sometimes it helps to start with simple, easy to follow directions that can be fun for your child to follow. So say you really want your child to clean up his room or get ready for bed. But we can go with clean up his room. So think about what you can do to support your child so that it's easier for him to learn how to do this independently, especially 5 years old. So for example, like sending your child to clean a really messy room might feel really overwhelming. So you can try breaking the task into smaller steps. So for example, so you clean up the Legos, I'm gonna go get these other blocks. You're doing it together and you're teaching him that, hey, you do this, I'll do that, and then all of a sudden the room's looking a little better. You can make it into a game. Let's see how fast we can make the bed together, or set the timer for 1 minute and let's see how much you can pick up. And so just keeping it light and fun is a good way to break down these really big, overwhelming tasks and teach your child how to do them so that maybe at 5, he's not going in and cleaning his entire room independently, but by 8, you can expect him to go and keep his room clean, or to know when you say, "Oh, I need you to go clean up your room before you go play outside," that you're going to know that he's going to go upstairs or into his room and he's going to be able to clean it up because you've been doing this and you've been working on simple directions and building up to larger ones. So, part of the question also mentioned, just I'm getting frustrated, and so I start raising my voice. And it's important just to mention to not engage in yelling behaviors with your children. I know that it can be very frustrating when your child doesn't mind and when he's not following directions, but it isn't helpful to yell at your child. Often, children aren't really able to process your words when you're yelling anyway. So just try to remember to stay calm and neutral, and don't forget to praise them and reinforce their when they do follow directions, because then you'll see more of that behavior as well. And then and you'll get it. So those are our 2 questions that we received. I would love to answer more of your questions. If you have parenting questions, um, please feel free to message us on any of our socials. Please feel free to email us, socials@theteachgroup.com, and I will get right back to you. So that I hope this has been helpful. And I hope that you all have a good day. Thank you. Bye.